Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. You guys know I am Miss Sabrina Seoul, and we are here tonight with The Missing Link. And you guys know for The Missing Link, I have interviews on here. I interview people from all walks of life, a lot of Ready to Love cast, and I have this platform for them so they can pretty much advertise their business or pretty much anything that they're doing that Ready to Love just doesn't show. And tonight I have my co-host Tyrone here with me, and we have the amazing, the only Ready to Love couple from Ready to Love season 8 Dallas, and that is Adonis and JuJu. Shout out to you guys. Make sure you show them a lot of love. Make sure you keep it respectful in the chat. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you follow Tyrone on his channel and like his video as well. But you guys know I don't like to waste any time. I like to go deep, dive right into it. But before I begin, Tyrone, do you have anything to say?
Sure thing. Always a pleasure, being on here. You can catch me at Ty Wilson 21 everywhere. Aside from this, the one thing I have coming up is I have a really good emotional talk tomorrow about suicide. September is Suicide Awareness, Suicide Prevention Month. So be sure to tune in.
Thank you so much for that. All right, guys. So in the chat, if you have any questions, please, y'all, let's at least keep it rated R, PG-13 if possible. If you have any questions for them, put them in the chat and I will put them on the screen. Super chats are appreciated as well. So let's dive into it. So Tyrone is such a great co-host because Tyrone is ready. Tyrone is ready. So I want you to go ahead and kick this off.
Hey, how did y'all meet? Start there.
You wanna, or want me to do that?
You can be initial.
Okay, so I have a show that I do for the erotic arts. I think it's pretty well known what I do as an erotic author and sensual dominant. And I was actually at an event that I was kind of hosting, but it wasn't my show. And I saw her. She was on a date. And we kind of made eye contact. It was one of those things like the energy was just like, wow, but I was respectful. I understood she was on a date. I took her and her date on a tour of the facility I was at, that the event was at. Because the event space is BDSM erotic inspired. So there's erotic art and a bunch of different stuff like that around. So I took her on a tour and everything, and I left it alone, so but again, we had that little eye contact. And I think that was while I was filming. And then a week after I was eliminated, I hopped in her DM, not even knowing that it was her. And we were talking, and she's like, "You don't remember meeting me?" And I'm like, "From where?" And then she jogged my memory. I was like, "Oh my God, the universe just came, full circle." And that's why I would feel like, it was supposed to happen the way it happened. I think my time on the show prepared me for her.
That's an awfully innocent sounding story, Marvin.
I mean, it was. It was. That's how it happened. Now, how it progressed, that's a whole different story. But that's how it happened, man. So, the week after I was told I wasn't ready to love, I jumped in her DM. So. Oh yeah, that's the
Yes, I was getting ready to say, because you sent this to me, Adonis, and actually it showed the clip of you being eliminated from the show, and this is on his Instagram page. And just to let everybody know, so let me do this real quick, just to let everybody know, if you want to follow Adonis, if you want to follow JuJu, if you want to follow Boy Erotica, if you want to follow them, the Boy Experience, all their links is down in the description box below. So make sure you follow them. But this is the video that he sent me, and it is on his Instagram page if you guys want to check it out. So he showed the elimination date with Katarina, and then this is 1 week later. So I want you guys to watch this. We're just going to get them to watch. It's very, yeah, they'll flag me. So, but we just,
yeah.
Content. So this is them. This is their journey, and y'all can check this out. Ooh, okay. Y'all can check this out on his Instagram page. So literally the interview with Katarina, and then it says 1 week later, and then he has these clips on his Instagram page. So y'all have really like spent time together, and like y'all have done like how, so okay, I got questions. We're gonna wait because I need to be able to talk to you guys, but that's so amazing. So how long, okay, we're gonna wait. I got questions.
Yeah, it was like everything that we had done, while the show was about to air and airing and everything, before I could, announce that, I was in a relationship. So we had just compiled all these different clips and footage and pictures from the things that we had done over those months. And then after my elimination date, I was like, this is us.
That is so amazing. So how long after, okay, so she's, okay, because I need a timeline. So you got eliminated. How long before that did JuJu reach out to you? Like, did you know her while you were filming, or was it literally
It was literally the week after I was eliminated. I have the screenshot. That video starts with the screenshot of my first message to her. I said, good morning. And she said, good morning with the little hearts. That was literally the week after I was eliminated. But of course, I couldn't say anything or post it, because filming was still going on and the show wasn't out yet. So we just scrolled back to the beginning of our conversation on Facebook. She sent me the screenshot and I just added it to the video.
Yeah, things really didn't progress until a couple of weeks after he DM'd me. I invited him out for a friend's birthday event at a hookah lounge. And it was more of a social thing. It wasn't like a real intimate date like other friends. I was going with other people already. And so, my ex so happened to also come along as a part of that group. So, and saying like, hey, I invited a guy, first time we're going to meet, there was a little bit of tension, two guys basically coming into my life, being in the same, like I was literally on the same couch. I was in the center, one was on my left, one was on my right. So, yeah, that was the first time we actually saw each other face to face and like really had some conversation outside of the initial just eye contact.
Yeah, it was hilarious. Because of course she told me, she didn't have me going in blind. She told me the situation, so I was like, oh, okay, that's the dude that just did it wrong. So I was like, what's up? It's me. I'm here, and I'm a dominant. So I didn't shy showing my affection that was starting to grow even at that event for her, you know what I'm saying? And giving her the attention, showing her that, that I was interested in and kind of developing something with her, so, but it was funny though. I'm like, oh, he's right there. He was literally on the other side of her.
That's what's up. I want to say, first of all, I'm so happy for y'all. You know what I mean? I envy this, just to be able to find somebody that you could be open, like totally open with and vulnerable with, and have that person accept it, and you can live in that level of comfort. Yeah. It's just it's a really good thing to see. So I'm really, really happy for y'all.
No, we appreciate it. Yeah.
One question though, what was the time frame between the event when you were showing to the DM?
Oh, it was months.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
it was literally like maybe 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah, well, it honestly probably a little bit longer because it was like the summer of last year.
Oh yeah.
It was like the summer of last year, and then we met in like, you DM'd me in like end of March.
Yeah, in March. Yeah, so it was probably like 6 months. But you just remember that energy we feel when when you cross paths with somebody, and and that's how like I always kind of imagine myself like meeting somebody and falling in love like that. Like you cross somebody in a grocery store, and you just like, hey, they're like, hey, and it's just like that instant energy, instant connection. I think that's what a lot of people probably daydream about, meeting someone in like almost like a love at first sight situation. You know what I'm saying? But again, she was on the date, so I was like, dang. I felt it, but I just kind of, brushed it off.
Okay. So this is like a two-part question. You just mentioned that you were a dom, right? So
yes.
At what point did you notice the submissive energy in her? And JuJu, when or what was it about him that made you cool with showing that to him?
I think the submissive energy that I noticed with her, actually, One of the scenes in that video, she's on a massage table. Wasn't that like date 2 or 3 or something like that?
Day 2.
Day 2.
Yeah.
So it was an event that we both went to, and I do sensual massage, sensual BDSM massages, and I was doing them at that event, and she hopped on my table, and I think it was like a 45-minute session, and our energy and passion and it just really developed, and then we made out for like 45 minutes after that. You know, just right there at the party, just French kissing, just the passion and energy was just so strong, and then it was just, you know, the rest is history.
Yeah, it was. I think for me, just I'm really big just on the energy of things. Like if it feels right, it feels right. So with the time that we really came to be introduced to each other more intimately, it was like, you know, I was kind of faced with a choice of like, you know, go and fix like a prior situation or dive into something new. And it was just such a strong attraction that was driving me just out of curiosity. Because honestly, you know, and I'm sure you guys will have more questions, but it's just like I've been around this, you know, community of, you know, alternative relationships, and yet I hadn't really been exposed to BDSM before. So that, you know, became intriguing. And then just his intent, like it's just his energy and drive towards like just knowing what he was interested in and just all the energy behind it just really made me more focused on pursuing him.
I got so many questions. Oh God, please don't. Because we're not even at that part yet. So
yeah. Just write them down so you don't forget them.
I got some warm up. Passive questions.
Yeah.
So can you explain to the people what BSM? Can you explain to them like what you do? And so and then we can kind of get into you guys' story a little bit more. And okay, explain to them what you do and what.
So BDSM stands for bondage, domination, sado or sensual masochism. I am a sensual dominant. A sado or a sadistic dom is like on the other end of the spectrum for me. So easiest correlation that I draw for people is Christian Grey, 50 Shades of Grey. He is a sadistic dom. He's turned on from causing pain. I'm on the other end of that spectrum. I'm a sensual dom. I'm turned on from causing pleasure. So everything I do is pleasurable for the woman. Now, if she can handle it and she wants to take it there to the more sado side, I can go there. But by nature, I'm a sensualist. So I love the sensuality and the energy and tantric touch and that massage that she had at that party, that was in a little clip of that video when she was kind of rubbing my bald head. That was the sensual massage with a little bit of BDSM. So I had some floggers, I had a couple paddles that I used on her, but it was light impact. It wasn't heavy. So that is something that I do at my events. I have other friends that are in the BDSM community that perform their different forms of the art, and I perform my art, and then I do different events around Dallas, DFW, and actually I'm in Atlanta for an event Saturday. Doing BDSM, they're flying me down for that. So it's a whole kind of underground world, kind of. But for me being on the show and me being proud of who I am and what I do in my community, you know, I'm shedding light to something that I know a lot of people have been curious about, and just for the sole purpose of either learning it or you know, using it in their own bedrooms to heighten their own sex lives with their partners. You know what I'm saying? So that's the educational part of it is what we do also, as far as explaining to people how to do it, what it is, and, you know, giving them kind of like a foundation to start from in entering that world.
But, you know, honestly, since this part is new to me, I really originated from identifying with just more of the LS community, is the, you know, the term we use for a lifestyle. And that is like an umbrella term for so much more. You know, BDSM is a part of it. People, you know, think of swingers, people who are polyamorous and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. And, you know, how even as a new term to me, he identified as a stag. So with that, there is an associated stag vixen dynamic between us. So he really had to teach me how to be, or what it meant to be a vixen, you know? So a stag essentially is someone who is
That was
comfortable.
my next question. What's a stag?
So what is it?
They're a man that's comfortable with seeing their partner or pleasured by seeing their partner receiving pleasure from another man. So we basically have, a different kink, as it would be in this umbrella of things of all different types of stuff that people may be into. And, from open relationships and just, a lot of different things that just involves just things outside of the non-traditional means of being monogamous. Yeah.
So what's a vixen?
So I basically am putting on a show for him, and I get to have my own pleasures, and he allows me to fulfill fantasies, or whether it's with the man or with the woman, we have the ability to. I don't know, it's kind of a foreplay.
Yeah.
It really is the best way to describe it, because it's really this interaction they may have with someone else, and whether he's just watching or partaking or there or not there, it's typically something where I could send him proof of what happened, and it's the anticipation of the story and the energy when we are then with each other. And it just dives into so much more after that.
Yeah.
So it's like really putting on the show and just being this
Porn star.
Yeah, that's way he describes it. He's just like, I'm his favorite porn star. So.
Tyrone,
And
before
look, here's the dope part about it is, like, when I get the footage or I film it myself, I put it into CapCut, and I make our own videos, like our own, and we'll put them on the big screen, and we'll watch them during foreplay, and it's like a whole adventure, man. And it's a lot of fun.
Look, I was gonna say, is this in the PG-13 realm?
Yeah, I was keeping it.
13.
Yeah. No, I'm not gonna go into the dirty details.
I don't know.
People like
we borderline, I guess, right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so is it? I'm sorry, Tyrone. So is it videos that you guys make, or videos that you make, like with the others that join in, or is it just
a combination?
All of the above.
Yeah.
Combination.
We just don't show faces.
Yeah.
Oh. I'm sorry. Okay, Tyrone.
Look, we're used to this reaction, man. So, like I said, I know I am, especially because I've been, it's like the way it happened on the show. Anytime someone finds out I'm an author, there's like a series of questions that come after that. Well, what do you write about? Erotica. Well, where do you get your stories from? Well, personal experience and my wild imagination. Well, what have you experienced? You see what I'm saying? So it just goes down, and that's why it seemed like I was talking about it so much on our season, because I kept being asked about it, and it's and as I went through the process, I needed to find out if the women were right for me. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put everything on the table. This is who I am. This is what I'm looking for, and because I was actually there for the right reasons. Exactly. Hence the relationship I'm in now. So it's kind of the reactions are always funny when people like, oh my God, you can see the mind blown, a little emoji with the cloud coming up. That's what I see every time I speak about it publicly with some people. But I mean, like I said, we love to educate and get rid of misconceptions, even if someone's not interested and just wants to learn what it's about, just for simple understanding. Like I said, we're very open with speaking about our lifestyle.
Right. Tyrone, what were you about to say?
Yeah, so this is a little bit different because we normally don't have a full topic about this. We normally just kind of touch on it, during the panels, and they get to see a little bit of that side of me. So really open up.
They call him Freaky
tonight.
Tag.
Let's do it, bro.
So just a little bit of background, just so you all know, people who are watching. My ex and I used to experiment, so got a whole, I got educated in the lifestyle about seven years back. So
okay,
I'm aware
yeah,
and comfortable. Yeah. So I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
JuJu, earmuffs, JuJu. So just a little bit of just to try to get a little bit of your mental makeup. You mentioned that you were a sensual dom, and the question was, do you do it for her or do you do it for you?
It's both. I enjoy seeing her pleased, and I know she gets pleasure from the things we do. We discuss what she likes when it comes to that, and with the tools that I have, and even when she does demos with other people in the lifestyle in the BDSM our community, whatever. I love seeing her enjoy herself, and at the same time, when we do it here at home, I love making her and causing the pleasure that allows her to enjoy herself that way as well in our foreplay. So it's really both, because again, my biggest turn on is her pleasure. So
Right.
the ways I cause it, are just like kind of like the sub fetishes or whatever the case.
Right. I know what that feels like, but just trying to see if you like one more than the other. Like, I want to please you, but I'm pleasing you primarily so I can feel good knowing that I pleased you.
Yeah, I'm a Libra,
If
so
that
I'm about
makes sense.
balance.
If that makes sense. Okay.
No, it
Yeah.
makes total sense. But no, my scales are balanced when it comes to this. Like, as much as I enjoy doing it for my own pleasure, I enjoy doing it for her pleasure as well.
Okay. And to educate the people in the audience, can y'all talk about how to initiate the conversation about your likes and dislikes when it comes to, what makes you happy in
Um,
that area?
I think, well, initially, even when like we initially met in the eye contact, it's like we already were in this space of knowing that we were both into alternative lifestyles. So with that just being the ground level, we then have a conversation like, well, what's your dynamic? Like, what are you into? So each of us then describes what our kinks, our fetishes are, what arouses us, what our LS history is, diving into, how long you've been involved, kind of the progression of things. And then you get to the point where, just even in outside of being in this type of community, it's like how you act single is basically going to be different than how you act, when you're in a relationship. And it's no different when you're kind of in the LS community to an extent, right? So it then became the conversation of, well, what's the compromise and educating each other on what we're each comfortable with, and then someone else being on the receiving end of your fetishes and your kinks, whether it involves them or it doesn't involve them. So definitely a lot of conversation about just what pleases him, what his fetishes are, and that's not all PG-13. So,
So we'll save that for the for the other one, for the other thing. But yeah, it's really just about learning each other, just like how you would, kind of have those conversations in a normal dating relationship. Like, what do you like? What are you into? What do you do for fun? What are your future goals, aspirations, things like that. We had those conversations, and then again, learning our lifestyle history, like she said. I laid out what I'm into, because I'll be 42 next month. So at this point in my life, it's like I know exactly who I am as a man, as a dom, as a stag. Like, all of that stuff is established. So it was really educating her on those things, and in the beginning, and just kind of confirming that she can handle it, just like I did on the show. And she was the one that was like, let's roll. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of like all steam ahead from there.
When do you all feel like it started for you? The whole lifestyle experience and being okay with it.
Okay, well,
that's a history question.
Yeah, he's been around much longer than I have. So for me, it's been maybe like 8-9 years. It honestly started in just the most randomest of way, out with some homegirls, and we're in a club, go to the restroom, and all the ladies talking in the bathroom, and someone that was basically in the section with us is just chit-chatting it up, and I didn't really know her that well, but she starts talking about these parties and just how fine the men are, and just how crazy the parties can get, and all this thing. So my closest friend at that time was really like communicating, and was like, are you interested? And so we kind of had a buddy system where it was like, okay, if you gonna go, I'll go with you, or if so it's like we're not gonna let each other just go by ourselves. So we looked curiosity, we like to have a good time, so we were just open, and that was the main thing, where we weren't skeptical or just turned off by the sound of what it could be. And just out of the curiosity of things, like, we started to hang around. And for me in that time, it was more of a kickback, a house party. It was nothing real major. It was real private. It was real And honestly, I was actually living out in Atlanta. So I was living in the DMV area in PG County. So I was, going to events, but more so observing, they call it being a voyeur, people who are more so turned on by just watching. So I was comfortable, not doing too much. And maybe I would hang out with those same people outside of the parties. And the real turn, honestly, came when I moved back to Texas. And some of the events that I encountered here have been very extravagant. It's a whole setup. It's like someone turning a private venue into a club, overnight. And it has all these special places specifically for certain encounters. So it just helped me then branch out into this part of me that was already on this journey of like embracing just my own identity and kind of building what that identity meant, at the same time, because there's so many things that you may have never experienced, but you get exposed to, and you're like, I don't know, but I'll try it. Maybe I do like it, and maybe I don't. So it's been such a curve up until this point where now I just kind of go with the flow of, I don't really care what the societal norms are. I don't really care what people say their structures are and whatever their reasons are, but it's just kind of like I'm in a space of being empowered, like just actually being able to be liberated in a way I can just do what I want and be able to communicate it to my partner. It's just a win-win,
So
good for you. Good for you.
So JuJu, I have a question. What was your first experience?
As far as with somebody else, with multiple people, or just with someone singular?
Just because you said in the beginning, like you were like more into voyeurism.
Oh, okay.
You were a voyeur, so you
Yeah.
watched. So when you stepped out and you were like, this is going to be my first experience, whatever it was, if it was singular, if it was plural, at least, what was your first experience stepping outside of being a voyeur?
So it was, it's twofold. It was, getting accustomed to just being in, typically starts off as a relaxed environment. And it was one of those, like you get people at, BYOB, and then you have someone maybe playing dominoes, cards, people chit-chatting it up and things. So it starts off casual, and then until someone is like busy doing something in the corner or right next to you on the same couch as you. And so you just kind of, it's just a moment where I just pause and I'm just watching like, okay, this is happening, but at the same time, because I'm in the space, and typically when you're a newbie, right, it's like fresh meat. So then it's taking on all the attention and, people, asking and inquiring about you, and then being in the space to be comfortable to know whether, to know that there's no pressure. Though so I got into the space, okay, like, I'm in control. So it nothing happens or occurs unless, I say so. And so kind of having the tease was really exciting in the beginning of just like, okay, like this is, something real fun, and the energy behind it is just so strong and sexy. So in that first encounter, it was just seeing how people behaved and how people interact, because that in turn is kind of like a prerequisite of, whether I'm interested in you or not, because it's not just the physical. It's like, I need to see how you maneuver. So then just the more I watched and got to see how things were, and just, how wild people are, I've been in a house where the bed broke. So, it just, you never know what you'll see. I don't know, you're on mute.
Yes. That was like a question for a two-part. So that was yours. So the question that Ty asked Adonis, could you answer that question, please?
What was my first experience?
Well, like, how did you get into it? How long? Like, Alexis Press actually in the comments, she wanted to know, like, how did he get into this? What we wanted both of you to answer. Like, how long? What initiated? Like, how did this come about?
Yeah.
Well, my sexual curiosity developed. What's that?
And what was your first experience? Yes.
Okay, yeah. Well, my sexual curiosity developed at an early age. We had the family computer, American Online dial-up internet. If I'm a carbon date myself, Yeah, right. But no, that's when I got access to downloading free porn. And I had a huge collection, even to the point where it was like I was so organized and OCD with the categories and the folders, and it was hidden in a labyrinth of folders on the family computer, so nobody knew the path to get there but me. Kind of a nerd, so this little disclaimer. So I also started reading erotic short stories, literature, at that age too. Fast forward all the way to 2008. It was kind of a similar situation. I was working out with a group of guys at a powerhouse right outside Detroit, and I came in late one day, and they were all working out, so I'm warming up and everything, but I'm still kind of listening. I'm like, wait a minute, what are y'all talking about? One of my boys was like, oh, Mar, I throw swinger parties. You got to come through. I was like, what? So obviously I had been watching group sex and all this wild stuff for all those years before. I had already had a pretty intense sex life with just normally, so I go to this party, and it's at a residence inn. It was maybe around 40 people. Most of them were couples. They partnered me with a single female because at that point the single men don't really get like love in the lifestyle like that, because couples typically don't want a single man, they just want a single woman. So they coupled me with a single female, and that night was like it was crazy, all the way till 6 a.m. And I was modeling. I was probably about 6% body fat, playing football at the time too. So I was shredded and crazy shape. So they called me the Energizer. It was fun. So that night I did 4 more parties like that. And the second one was crazy good like that, but then they got progressively worse. So I backed away. I'm like, okay, I'm straight. It was an experience. I thought it was over with. Then a year later, I got into a long-term relationship, and we were a full swap swinging couple from jump, because I had told her about my previous experiences. She told me about her failures with her ex-husband and trying to do it, because it was like everybody wanted her, didn't want him, so it never worked out. So she was a model, I was a model, so we got together. We were one of the hottest couples in the area, in the lifestyle. So we had a lot of success. So the experiences like really grew, and then it kind of gave me a sixth sense on how to curate those situations after that relationship too. So my journey in the lifestyle, it wasn't at parties anymore. I hosted, and arranged threesomes, and I had female friends that opened up to me about their fantasies, wanted to experience 2 men. I'm like, I got somebody for that. Made a phone call, fantasy fulfilled. So it was things like that until leading all the way up until I came down to Texas and got back into a community of parties and events. I started hosting my own events. We gotta charge the battery real quick. Yeah, that died kind of quick. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. But I'm gonna grab my charger so the thing doesn't die really quick. So I'm gonna let you guys holler at JuJu.
Okay, Tyrone, because when Adonis was talking, you were just looking like, yeah, I remember that.
Listen, I was deployed twice to a country with no alcohol. The women aren't allowed to show shoulders, elbows, or knees. So,
You know, Qatar.
Well, in Qatar we could drink, but I was in Iraq twice.
Oh,
So we would go to
okay.
Qatar and Bahrain for R&R.
Okay.
But
I was
yeah.
like, my sister was in Qatar. Yeah.
So I was reminiscing about the external hard drives that we would have, and we would do like hard drive swaps for all of the the stuff that we had. And then when you was saying that you were in Lanham, I started thinking about places like Taboo and Entre Nous in the area. So that's all I was, like Letitia was saying, like I literally was having flashbacks. I was trying to bring it back a little bit further than, your first experience in the lifestyle, and not trying to trigger you, but do you feel like maybe your upbringing, or maybe your first sexual experience, maybe as a young adult, I don't want to say child because I don't want to assume, but do you think that may have had an effect?
just look, I was like, I'm an open book. I said, so I don't mind getting into it, you know. So I did have one of those upbringings where I was molested and, you know, lived in a household where my step parent, you know, was that person. And so that was a huge part of my childhood, you know, for the point of it wasn't until I, you know, left and graduated and became of age in high school that I really separated from that environment. So honestly, that situation probably curved me away from my sexuality for a long time, but just kind of from the PTSD of things, I was really hypersensitive to people touching me or letting people get close to me in a kind of that way. So it took me, like, you know, my first relationship and leaving my parents' home to really get comfortable with that just being a regular occurrence. And I think in that environment, I really broke my shell and really, you know, came to see myself. But I think even coming out of that first heartbreak, my first love, that whole being all one situation, I was living in Houston. You know, I was a suburban girl, sheltered and locked away, not allowed to do too much except things associated to school. So when I lived in Houston, I basically raised myself into becoming an adult. And, you know, Houston's a big city. So it's just like me as just a young girl and you know, finding myself as attractive. And it was just one of those things of like, I just was never, you know, when you're kind of in those environments, you know, that I was in, it's just like you never see yourself in a certain light that people may see you in. So it was a learning curve and, you know, getting attention from men and getting all these things. And so there's always this thing in being a female of being promiscuous is looked down upon, you know. So there was not as much of freedom in my expression as where I am now, but there was definitely the curiosity and seeing that it was something that I came to like, and I had to grow out of the guilt of liking it and not associating it to my past, to the point where I see my lifestyle choice really separate or kind of the full contrast of where I've come from, and being, you know, more conservative or being more timid in situations or thinking what someone would receive of me or, you know, things of that nature, to where I don't care. So, yeah.
Okay. When you have conversations with other people that are in the lifestyle, do you often find that there's a correlation between, you know, either their upbringing, their first sexual experience, maybe how their family approaches sexual activities? Because I'll tell you, like, I would not even be uncomfortable if my mom was in the chat, because my family is we're pretty
Yeah.
open about that,
Yeah.
to the point where, you know, me and my mom have a look. If I say I have company and she FaceTimes me, you know, my mom will give me
She
a
know
look,
what it's
you know.
Okay,
Like,
baby, I'll call you back.
so like,
Honestly,
even
with
my
my
brother
dad.
and sister, all of us with my mom, like, we're really cool about
Yeah.
that. Do you think that has an effect on it all?
Yes and no, because there are a lot of people who are super private in this community. They're into it, but they don't feel comfortable sharing it because no, they don't have the space to be safe and just be themselves in all avenues of their life. So they feel as though they have to turn it on, turn it off, hide it, you know, pull the curtain behind themselves, you know. So I don't think everyone has had that environment to, you know, that to be the space that they came in to being comfortable with themselves. So some people have to hide it, unfortunately. But in my family, like, I'm close with my dad. That's who I've grown up with. And so anyone else was like, you know, a step parent. So it's just like me and my dad communicate about everything. So he's very knowledgeable of it. Now he don't want to see it. Like we're clear that we don't, you know, I removed him from my social media and things. As me and him become more public, it's just like, okay, I can tell you about it face to face if the conversation arises to certain things, but seeing me in any type of way, it is not necessary. But we can have the open dialogue. But as far as the community goes, it just varies. Like, there's so many people from different walks of life, high and low, and it's kind of hard to generalize exactly what brought everyone here. But it kind of just comes down to people who are open, you know, people who are really just coming from a place of either it's already been the freedom to be themselves, or people who are breaking chains from being so restricted or being bound by their family, their friends, or their,
church, society.
Yeah, all those things.
Sexual suppression is real.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, I love myself for who I am, every single part of me. And I want the woman I'm with to feel the same way. But in our society, women have been suppressed and oppressed for so long throughout our history that now there's like when I talk to someone about my book and I ask questions also. I'm like, okay, do you love yourself? And everybody says, yeah, I love myself. Well, do you accept your sexuality? 8 times out of 10, the women are like, well, no, I can't, because of church, because of family, because of this and that. Then my next question is, how can you truly say you love yourself is that if there's a part of you that you don't accept? True self-love is loving every single part of who you are as a person, because life is too short not to. So that's what I try to inspire people to do. And that's what I want to bring out of the woman that I'm with. I want her to love every part of her because I want to love every part of her. I can't hear.
No, I mean, like,
oh, there you go.
No, I totally agree, man. There's so many people that I personally know are unhappy because they feel like they need to have a certain image publicly and in front of friends and in front of family. And you had mentioned the fact that like you can kind of see things in people. Like I can kind of see that as well. And I'm like, man, like I really just need to find a way to have a conversation.
Yeah.
You know, and
need to find a safe place.
I could change. Yeah, I could probably change, you know, her life. And, you know, I don't mean it like that.
I can change your life.
Yeah.
I mean, but you know,
like that. It's just,
yeah. But I'm honestly like, when someone reaches that level of self-acceptance, it is a life-changing experience. You know, so I've had people that I've talked to, women that I've talked to over the years that I helped, even if we weren't active, I wanted them, or they were friends, I wanted them to have that level of self-love. So it was like coaching someone into breaking the mental barriers that society or family or church or whatever the case have put on them over decades, you know, which caused them to suppress who they really are, who they really want to be. And like I said, I always say life is too short not to, because we're here for a blink. And then I don't want to get to the end of that road and look back and be like, man, I wish I had did that. I wish I had experienced that. I want to live life with no regrets, you know. And that's what I kind of like inspire my friends or people that I talk to do as well.
Ty?
No, this is me kind of suppressing myself right now. But yes, I feel you. You know,
yeah,
totally
it gets like that when you're around like-minded people. You're like, oh shoot, there's so much I'm gonna say. So much. Yeah, I feel you.
Sabrina, you got anything? I mean, I'll tell you. So, just a little bit about me. Like, I enjoy learning myself. I enjoy the journeys, right? I enjoy the puzzles. And I'll tell you, those experiences, I really got to learn a lot about me. And once you get comfortable explaining who you are and what your boundaries are, and you get comfortable not caring how the other person is going to receive your boundaries, then like it's what's the word? It's really liberating.
Yeah.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? To
absolutely.
be like, oh, you don't like what I like? Okay. Because I used to be afraid to even say it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But because I wasn't saying it, I was unhappy. But now if I say it and if it happens now, you know, I'm in a really good place.
Yeah. Well, that's what's up.
Unless you say it, like you never know, and because the other person might be like, "Dang, I wish he would say it." You know what I mean?
Right.
And they're waiting, and you know, and sometimes you just have to be like that person to be able to speak up, because that's how I am in my relationships. Like I'm like, I like this. Do you like that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then
you never know.
It got to a point where I got really, really good at it. And, you know, I just was trying to like preach that to everyone, to open up, be yourself. Like you'll be so much happier when you do. And then another thing is like you get addicted to helping people have experiences that they've never had before.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's really, really addictive. So oftentimes the question would be, what's something that you thought about experiencing, but you just
Mhm.
never have,
Yeah. Yeah, I've had a lot of it's funny because a lot of those conversations turn into threesomes. I mean, that's just real talk because, you know, women with or friends with or whoever was kicking it with, they know what I was into and I was writing the book and this was like from 2015 all the way to like 2020. I was experiencing all of this, you know what I'm saying? Like talking to a woman and I'm like, okay, this is what I like, this is what I'm into. Well, telling them what I like and being so comfortable with who I am as a person, it allowed them to drop their guards. Well, I've always wanted to have a threesome. I got somebody for that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's just the way it is. That's how it happens.
Yeah, you mentioned something very important, and I'm gonna ask you to expand on that. But you mentioned creating that safe space, creating that safe environment to allow a person to open up. Like a lot of people don't realize how important that is, but that's normally where I start.
Yeah.
Allowing them to just knowing that they're the ones that are in control, right? Just tell me what the rules are, right? And we're gonna abide by your rules because ultimately you have control. And then when you travel and you mix and mingle, you hear out the woman first, right? And oftentimes there'll be certain rules, and you gotta abide by those rules. So tell me about some of the things that you do to create that safe space.
I think I've always been told I have a calming energy just to begin with. So just in regular conversation, I'm able to inadvertently kind of lower the defenses because they see I don't have a judgmental mentality. I'm well spoken, so I make women feel comfortable and have made women feel comfortable that way. But then at the same time, I'm like, listen, this is what I like. I know I'm into some nasty shit. You know what I'm saying? So why would I look at you any different for what you like? And they're like, okay, I can kind of get with that. So when they retrain their minds to accept the fact that they're not about to be judged for what's about to come out of their mouths, then that's when the fantasy floodgates open up. And because I don't want the woman to feel like I know how it is to be judged. I know how it is to be bullied or picked on or whatever the case because you're into something different or because you are different. So I don't ever want to have created a place where anybody would feel like that because they I like so many different things. You see, it's a bunch of swords in the background. How often you see stuff like that? I wouldn't want somebody coming to clown me because I collect katanas. So it's like, why would I make someone else feel bad because they're into something that's not common, that's not of a societal or social norm or a trend, you know what I'm saying? So in having those conversations and talking about my experiences and even showing them videos of my past experiences, it was like, okay, they came into the place where it was like they felt safe, they felt comfortable, like, okay, well, I've always thought about this. Prime example, I have a story in my book called In Good Company. And I wrote it for a friend of mine because she told me, we had a conversation and she was telling me how her ex, they got to almost physical fight because he approached her and said, hey, I want to have a threesome with a female. And she was like, okay, bet, but I want to have a threesome with a guy too. And they almost came to blows over it because he couldn't handle that. So it was like, okay. So I wrote a whole story about her fantasy coming true and her approaching and seducing two men. So she was in control. She had the power, and she absolutely loved it. So those are the kinds of things that I like to create, and whether it's a fantasy or whether it's actually in reality for anyone I'm with, especially her.
I'll add that there's probably been a learning curve or a difference in just having a safe space with friends and conversation versus really creating safe space with your partner that you're like really building with. And for me, this is my first committed LS relationship. It's like I've mixed and mingled single and freely, but deciding that I want to actually build and commit to somebody in this lifestyle and being able to vocalize what I'm into, but also vocalize because we do separate our actual relationship from our bedroom. right? So there's things that I don't like to cross over, or that, you know, that what I'm comfortable with and what I'm used to and what he's comfortable with, what he's used to, I see myself as more conservative. So it's being able to have, for me, the safe space of coming out and really, speaking my boundaries, because I think that's a big thing where I feel as though even if we don't agree, I honestly feel comfortable, or I'm gonna speak my mind, so. And that's one of those things that I'm just like, let's have a difficult conversation, because like I know what's turning you on, but I know what my limits are. So let's find the compromise, because this is what my feelings are telling me, and I know what logic is, but we're not talking about logic. We talking about what my feelings are saying right now. So, and then just having a safe space to be able to have those types of conversations just has created the area where I'm just like, okay, I know that it's a learning curve for us both to understand each other. But in the long run, it's like I feel as though I need to be able to come to you. Like if I can't come to you about these difficult things that I'm having anxiety about or fears about, and different things. So it's that he's created the environment to where I can speak up and know that we can have dialogue without there just being any resolve to the topic.
Okay. So I want to now, because we're at that mark, I'm so excited. So so I just want to put the disclaimer out, guys, because I want you guys to talk about the BOA experience, like what you guys do at your shows, like what kind of things, whips, get all of the toys that like, I want you guys to talk about that.
Yeah.
So, but of course we have to, because we are on this, stream. Just to let you guys know that I am inviting Adonis and JuJu back for another episode of the BOA experience, but a little bit more in detail. But that's going to be on my membership channel. So if you guys are interested in seeing the behind the scenes, the version we can't show on YouTube, definitely subscribe to that. That's going to be a whole nother day. But I definitely want you guys to give a little bit about what you do at your shows, like the participation, like who comes to these shows, how do you set these shows up, like what do you do, etc. But before we begin, I do have a 2-minute clip on YouTube that is up here that I want to show the audience, just to give them a little idea, and you can just talk over it just to kind of explain to us what we are about to see, and then we can get a little bit more into detail of what it is. So, because I'm pretty sure that they're going to want to know. I know I want to. I'm definitely interested. So let me go ahead and play this. I'm going to cut the volume off just because it is music and I don't want it to be copyrighted.
Okay. So my show is an evening for the erotic arts. As you see, we have vendors and sex toy vendors. I have some of the most talented poets in the Dallas area that perform at my show. That's Trill on the right, Keisha in the middle, and Lorraine on the poetry and potions on the left. So we perform. I sing also, so I'll perform a song, kind of like do like a shotgun, where they perform after each other, and then that'll be for like the first couple hours, and then right before midnight I read one of my stories. The last show was called Erotic Audio Files, because what I did was I recorded an audiobook version of one of my shorts called Unchartable. And I took my main narration out and then played played all the sound effects over the loud system and did the narration live over top. And it was a completely different experience. No one had ever seen anything or heard anything like that before. So you can imagine I'm reading to you, but you're hearing all the sound effects and even the erotic sound effects, which were authentic. You're hearing all of that stuff over a loudspeaker, and you're just like, oh my God, like it's a completely different experience. And then at midnight starts the BDSM portion of the show, where I'll do a demo. My friends from the community will demo their crafts. Like we have like electro play, wax play, fire play, different levels of impact play. It's so many different things that you'll see. That'll last for about an hour, and then we kind of open it up for people to talk to the BDSM friends and actually try and interact with the toys and try and feel the different things that they want to experience. I'll end up doing demos with like 6 or 7 or 8 people after during that hour, because women will want to experience that. Now, October 13th is the next show. That's my sister. She does an all women's event called Boa's Playpen. It's kind of similar, but it's for all ladies. Not just lesbian and bisexual women, but just women in general to have a place to come together to experience those things. But my next show is Herogasm. That's my birthday is October 13th, and I'm a huge superhero fan. So that's what Herogasm is. It's a sexy superhero and villain Halloween party, to where I still have poets that perform. We'll still do the short stories, and I'll sing, and we have raffles, and some of the vendors will raffle off items. But it's a lot of fun, man, and it's a very, very free and judgment-free environment where people can come and hear erotic art. These are my some of my shorts. So the first 3, Room Service, Unchartable, and Reclaimed, are shorts, but Seaman Hall is a full story and a preview of my second book. And it's a really, 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 really wild story. So if you're on a scale of 1 to 10 on my wildness meter, it's probably like a 30. So if you can't really handle a whole lot, I would start with Room Service. But that's what the Boa experience is. There's always a theme. We've had trench coat and lingerie, where all the women that came to the event came in lingerie with their trench coat over it. And then I've had, of course, the Halloween parties. And like I said, this year is Herogasm. Oh, Leather and Lace. Yeah, Leather and Lace was one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I got questions. So
Sure.
Because this picture here, I don't know if you guys can see this black and white picture. Like I see like whips and hands.
Look, I took that picture.
She took the picture. Yeah, we were at an event, and 2 of our friends threw this huge BDSM event in Shreveport, and we went out there for the weekend, and I did demos and things like that. And she took that picture. I kind of laid out all the tools before we went to the dungeon.
So, okay, tools. So you call them tools. Okay, what kind of tools do you guys use?
Floggers, whips, paddles, ticklers, restraints, masks, gag balls, leashes. Like, it's all kind of different stuff. Like, yeah, she likes it. Yeah, she likes the restraints.
Oh,
being restrained. Yeah.
Is that different than the ropes, or just?
Well, I don't do shibari.
Yeah, ropes are a whole art of its own. Like there's like you can be, static where you can't move, right? And they have these intricate knots that they'll make designs out of when they do tie you up. But then you have people who get suspended, and physics kind of really comes into play with how you support somebody when you tie them up and you have them hanging from a certain body part. So a lot of education required for shibari, but this is more kind of like being on a cross or being cuffed on a bench or having, restraints.
I have restraints under my mattress. And at the bottom of my mattress, the bottom of my bed, there's 2 drawers, and they're full of, all kind of different stuff.
You don't have, a footboard headboard to put cuffs on, and you can just have a little
restraints under the mattress. Yeah. She's like, they clutching pearls.
They got on me. They got on me for literally saying the exact same thing. At the show? Like 2. No, on the panel, on my footboard, there's like 2 areas where you could put stuff in. And there's stuff. There's stuff in there.
Now those are finger floggers, and what I'm doing is Florentine. When you use two floggers, and then she's on the St. Andrew's cross. That was early in our dating. Also, that was at Kinky Prom. That was a fun night. So I took her outside,
No, the funniest part is if you could see in the background what's going on.
Yeah, somebody's being
Saran wrapped to
a bench.
A bench. They're kind of in the doggy style position.
Oh,
and their whole body.
Oh, shoot.
What?
So that's why there's an umbrella of different things that people are into, but you know, they leave her rear out, and so she can be spanked too, but also restrained just in a whole non-traditional way.
Saran wrap. She sure is. I had to go to the big screen to look.
Yeah. That was a fun night.
Oh, sugar. Wowzers. It's so interesting.
It's a different world, man, and like I said, we love it, man, because it's
so fun.
It's fun. It's a release, man. Getting up there and doing finger floggers, the Florentine is like it's a workout too, because you see how fast I was swinging them, and that wasn't even like I have footage from my last big event was Dirty Show. That was an erotic expo. I partnered with Amon Simone, the curator of Artgasmic, and she had like 20 black painters, erotic artists that presented their work. And then we had several vendors. And then I had 9 of my BDSM friends that did performances. It was a whole, like, it was a 2-day expo, and it was amazing. So stuff like that, you know, being able to get into that character almost, you know, stepping into dominance is who I become when I'm dominating. And letting him out to play a little bit. You know, there was I did a demo, finger flogger demo at Dirty Show, and the video, I was like, wow, I was really putting, you know, strength into the swinging, and so, but that one again, she doesn't like heavy impact, so it was just enough, and I brushed her skin just enough to where it felt good to her.
So, like, obviously, we can see the connection, the energy, the level of comfortability you both have. Have y'all ever considered creating paid content?
Oh, yeah. We get asked about OnlyFans all the time. And we actually are going to do an OnlyFans, but it's going to be BDSM. Yeah, it's going to be BDSM based. And she and I will do demos together. She's actually going to be training to be a dominatrix. So she'll be learning the craft and doing scenes and demos with men. And then I'll have other submissives or bottoms or whoever wants to, you know, subs that want to come and do scenes with me. But other than that, it'll be me and her. But yeah, we are going to do an OnlyFans for a BDSM.
It's not going to get too X-rated.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
no, that's cool. At any level.
Yeah, it'll be stuff kind of like that, a little bit more intense than what you saw in that video. But yeah. More content.
Need to move from CapCut to DaVinci Resolve.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out.
Cause look, he does all the videos. When I say he does it in just a matter of minutes. We'll record something, but I'm gonna make a video now.
Yeah.
Put it together.
Yeah. Last week I put 2 of my massage tables together, and set the camera up, and we had our little fun. And I took it and made it into a video. And I posted a picture on my Facebook of the massage tables put together. I'm like, a whole lot of oil, 2 hot bodies, and a whole lot of, you know, whatever. And the comments were like, oh my God, I want to see the video. I was like, no, I can't show all that, you know, but that's for our fun, you know. But as far as like just spanking and things like that, dominate a BDSM play, then yeah, we will do an OnlyFans for that.
So do you guys travel? And I thought that I heard and I saw on your website, like they could book you. So do you travel to different cities to put on the shows? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I do sensual massage, sensual BDSM massages. Private Encounters was the one page you saw on my website, where people can sign up, and I'll come to the city and we'll set it up so they can experience a BDSM scene with a real dom. This Saturday, I'm in Atlanta doing at a BDSM event where I'll be doing domination for more sensual domination, because I think they're more Sado at this in this group. But I'll be doing BDSM scenes and domination at that event. So yeah, I definitely travel with it, and it's a lot of fun, you know, to travel and spread my the boy experience and spread what I do, you know, and help people, because I've been asked a lot, you know, several times since the show is there, like, are you coming to this, coming to this, coming to this city, coming to this city? So we're working on a tour of bringing the boy experience, the show that you saw, bringing that to different.
Yeah, because people are really intrigued. I don't care like how many people be like, oh my God, there's a lot of people that are intrigued by. So you have the oh my God crowd, but then you have this crowd that don't talk about it, don't want to talk about it, but they are really intrigued. Like I saw something on it was either YouTube or Facebook. Someone sent it to me like a while ago where this girl, she throws like these classes on how to ride. And
I have a matter of fact
sold out, and I'll be like, this is a real thing, and I heard she's getting paid.
Actually, it's funny you said, I have a friend in Dallas that does that, and I'm on her show tomorrow. She does kind of adult sex ed classes where she teaches women how to give head. She teaches, you know, like you said, how to ride, and couples will come and sit on their little yoga mats and act out these things and learn how to advance their own sex lives. And I kind of do something similar with BDSM. You know, when I've trained and I get paid I give lessons to men sometimes that want to learn how to use floggers and how to use paddles and how to use them appropriately so they don't hurt, because a lot of men are heavy-handed, you know. So to learn touch and sensuality, it's an art to it, you know, how to learn a woman's body, especially like learning your partner's body, knowing everywhere you can touch her to make her flinch and to get those reactions out of her, you know what I'm saying? And having that mentality of, I'm going to take my time and learn my woman's body to please her in levels and ways. Like, I like setting the bar real high, you know.
All right, I got a suggestion, Lynn. Setting it up. We up here. I have a friend as well on Instagram. She goes by sex therapist Jen is her name. Real open with it. Since we're setting the bar high, y'all need to all get together. Maybe I
love collaborating with other people in the industry, man. Like, because I learn from them and they can learn from me. Whatever, we trade top secrets and stuff like that. It's fun.
Yeah, maybe before or after the AV ends, be a good environment.
Yeah,
everybody mindset will already be there.
Yeah,
I think it'll be a good event.
Yeah, we definitely want to get to Vegas with the bow experience and just with bringing the BDSM craft, especially after she, you know, becomes a dominatrix. You know, I'm anxious to see her work. You know, I'm very particular on who she scenes with, because I want to be able to trust the person that's doing the BDSM, whatever form with her. She has one of our friends that does electro play that she really loves. So she did her electro play at Dirty Show. So watching her on stage and just, you know, being in that moment where she's feeling the little electric shots going through her body and she's getting turned on and she's moaning and stuff, and it was hot, you know. Like I said, I love watching her have fun, you know. And then there was one guy that I let do a BDSM scene with her with floggers and with spiked gloves, and she loved it. I was right there watching to make it good, but he's skilled enough. He was skilled enough to know how far he could push her, and she absolutely loved it. I just sat there and watched in the corner, and just, you know, it was fun.
Yeah, you get a lot of people in this area or in this space that want to just pick up a paddle and then just hit somebody. Yeah. They don't necessarily know that it's not that simple. Mm-hmm. So the education component is super important, because you can hurt somebody.
Absolutely.
Right. So that's why he becomes more protective of those types of, you know, moments, especially if I'm, you know, just in the moment enjoying myself. It's like, especially, you know, if I've been drinking or something of that nature, it's just like your tolerance is different. So you may not initially feel it until after the fact. So it's important to kind of have someone being there to protect you, especially in those instances.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So what's y'all safe word? Or do you say it out loud in public?
Well, see, the thing is, we don't have one, because we don't
understand. You're sensual. I understand.
Exactly. We don't deal with pain like that.
Yeah.
But
But
Yeah, we just
even
mentioned the
with like
dominatrix part.
yeah, so even with like the electro play that I received, because I haven't really gotten into being a top, like being, topping somebody, but just in having been a bottom, because I'm not quite a sub, right? Like I've bottomed for someone in scenes, but the electro play is just it's so hard to explain, right? Because someone thinks of being, touched with the electricity, right? It's like something painful, right? People get electrocuted, but the way that it feels is kind of like someone blowing on the nape of your neck or on your spine, and there's just like this tingle where you're just like your whole body just arches and you can't help it. That's really the sensation with electroplay, but it's in a great way. So typically there's a whisper in my ear of like, is that good? The initial touch, are you fine here? It starts real low and it goes higher, and I'm just like, oh no, go higher. So it's on me to be where it grows to, and I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
What is something
Yeah,
that
like
y'all
it's a
haven't
different
done
world.
yet? Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
What's
Oh, no,
something
it's
that
okay.
you haven't done yet that you want to do?
So one of yours, like the daddy's home thing, I know you're gonna. Okay, that you could save because that gets.
Well, I won't I won't give a dirty detail, but pretty much the way it is, it's actually my biggest fantasy right now is to it's kind of, and it'll have to be arranged a different way because we work from home, so we're always together. But the fantasy, and I wrote about it on in the book, is where I go through a normal day. I go to the gym, go to work, you know what I'm saying, come home and leave work, go to the grocery store. But when I come home to her having sex with a guy. And I don't interrupt. I just watch and kind of observe her in the moment. And then I kind of dip off to the bathroom, take my shower so she can walk him out. And then I come back to the bedroom and take back what's mine.
Yeah. That is one of the car instance.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So one that we kind of combined things that we like with, doing things in a car is always exciting, right? So he has this, he's an author, so that's even one of the craziest things of being with someone who has such a vivid imagination and illustrates things. So it's like he puts to life some of the ideas I have and embellishes. So him being the driver and me and someone else being in the back seat where he can like be peeking in the rearview mirror and get to kind of be incited by just what's going on in the back seat, but not really being able to turn all the way around. It's the restraint of face forward. You can hear the sounds, what's happening, but it's just not, until we get home that things just all pan out all together. So. Yeah,
that was kind of it's a few things. Well, that was like a recent occurrence too.
Because a lot of the things, like when people think of like, what haven't we done? It's like if you can just think of the most basics of things that are probably outside of someone's box, like that first step is like, we've been there and done that.
Yeah.
So
ours are a little bit more intense.
Yeah.
I have a story of mine that I could follow up on, but I want to touch on what they're asking in the comments. Can they all touch on the safety concerns of it all?
Oh yeah. Well, obviously, when we go to parties, there's always protection, and we play safe. And if it's someone that we're dealing with on a higher level, everybody gets tested, and bring current updated results. We test pretty often.
Right.
In those situations, it's a very rare occurrence that we take it to that level. And it's not just anybody, like the vetting process. That's one thing that's really big in our community is vetting. Right. Number one, are you clean? Disease free, all that good stuff. And then your mentality. How you like you said, how does somebody move? Are they out here like crazy, or are they kind of like low key or whatever? She likes the ones that are kind of like low key and just kind of exist and not super out in the as far as being active and things like that. And I'm super super picky because my fetishes are so detailed. It has to be, all the conditions has to be right for me to for me to even want to partake in my fetishes. So it's a highly detailed selection process when we pick people to engage in our play with.
Yeah, I think that look, you say you're more picky.
No, she's more picky than me. She's way more picky than I am.
Yeah, because I'm just kind of like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm not, entirely pressed, right? Right? Because you wouldn't imagine, but even under this environment, people are very much can be judgmental of you being too promiscuous, right? And it's just kind of like, how can you be too promiscuous in this environment? But there's still all kinds of judgments and stereotypes around it. And not even that being the basis of like how I make choices, but just to say that there are certain things that just turn me off about people, right? If you're just like, if you touch somebody that I wouldn't touch, then I don't want to touch you. So it's just kind of that simple. But in being safe, like you said, getting tested is the biggest thing. A lot of times it's like, if you are having an initial encounter with somebody, you haven't seen anything, like, then certain things are off limits, and then we can use protection. So that's just the case there. And then, a lot of times we don't play when we're not in. We've had an instance where we played where we weren't in the same room together, but being in party spaces, I feel more comfortable with him being in the room with me. That way, because consent is a big thing, right? You're going into an environment, you don't know everybody there. There's going to be a large amount of people that are, familiar faces and things of that nature. But when you're in a vulnerable moment and someone else is coming up around to watch and you don't know if they're going to touch you or not touch you. And I've had instances where it has happened where someone, may have groped me in the instance of me being with someone else. And it's like, who are you? What is your name? Like, what are we doing here? Right. So him being there, it makes it even better of a space, even more of a safer space. But as far as who we pick, a lot of communication. Like, we got to be on the same page. It's, like you said, a vetting process, and just ensuring that it's somebody that we don't need anybody bringing issues into our, bad energy and stuff into our environment. So it's just like, we need to make sure that you can look good, but it doesn't mean your ish don't stink. So it's a lot of questions, and then just the energy of what we agree on.
Yeah.
Indeed. I have a kind of a two-part question. One is a question that I get asked quite often. So how do I say this? I guess the best way to say it is like, once you reach a certain level of kink, right? It's kind of hard to go backwards. So the first question is, do you agree with that? And then the second question that I get is, do you think it ever ends? Do you think you ever get tired of it all?
I've always said, even when I got into the lifestyle, that this wasn't something I was going to do forever. Because obviously I have marriage goals. I have, my daughter turns 18 next month, 2 days before my birthday. But I want we plan on having 2 to 3 more kids, so at that point, it's like, you got, infants and toddlers into the equation. So it might not always be like, a lot of our friends are married, for a long-term relationship. They have children. So when they get older, it's a little easier to step out a little bit. It just in any normal situation also. But, as we progress in our relationship and our life together, I do believe we'll throttle down. Clearly, obviously, when, she's pregnant or going through, getting ready to deliver, that's our focus, and then focusing on raising our children at that young age. But no, I mean, kinks are hardwired like languages, so it'll never like disappear. You understand? I'm always going to have those freaky thoughts. The way my mind works, I mean, that's how I was able to write a book. My mind is going. You understand? And when talking about safe places, she's created a safe place for me, because whenever I have thoughts, I can say, "Babe, what you think about this?" Or, "Babe, I had a thought," and she's like, "What you think about, baby?" So I sit there, and just kind of narrate out the thought or the scene or what I saw in my head. And that could lead into foreplay and into beyond whatever. But I think that while I'm young and vigorous and I got all this energy and, my endurance is crazy because of how I work out. I played football for 21 years. I was a personal trainer for 13. So I'm always in the gym. She's in the gym. We work out at 6 a.m. Monday to Friday when we can, not up too late. So while I'm young and got all this energy, yeah, I want to experience the things that I want to experience, and I want to experience it with her. So
Yeah, I think for me, in terms of, like you said, when you bring in family into it, I think from the female perspective, there's a whole lot more of a question mark to it, right? Because there's just like, but you're a mom, right? Like you're raising somebody, like you're being an influence to another human being, and whether or not they should follow in my same footsteps or whatnot. So it's, this gray area in just terms of like I said, there's our bedroom, which your kids, even in a regular relationship, have nothing to do with your bedroom. So it's just like understanding that there's always a line drawn, and what arouses you arouses you. It's typically little logical decision that goes into what turns you on. It's not that people then pre-decide and then they have a reaction. It's just like they come in exposure to that instance and they realize that, okay, wow, this is something I like. So like you said, it doesn't necessarily go away, but just like any person as they age, like your hormones start to change and fluctuate. So the need and the sense of the frequency may, differ. But I always tell people, like, I'm forever young. So I think that I pull him out and about a lot more than anything, because he was more of a homebody, a hermit. He could watch anime and he, chips and queso all night. And I'm just like, no, there's something big going on. Let's go and socialize. And so I know anybody and everybody, and no one's a stranger, so everybody's a friend. And so I'm one of those that's like, okay, well, I just want to entertain. Like, even in me and being, a house figure, I'm one that I like to cook, and it's just like, well, let's bring people over. Like, I'm going to make this, and let's invite somebody. And what happens, depends on who we invite. So it's just, there could always be the instance, probably for a really long time. Like, I don't think age has a point where you should just stop having fun, as long as it's healthy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tyrone, you have any final questions?
No, I think that was probably the last one. I'm happy for y'all. Y'all look like y'all in a really great place.
Yeah.
I was just saying, I'm a little envious, but I'm happy that y'all got that. I feel like everyone should have that. And I wish nothing but the best for y'all. I really do.
And that's kind of the premise behind our podcast show, with it being called Love and Lifestyle. We want to help people to kind of navigate the love aspect of it, just based off of our encounters and our journey in love, and then also educate with the lifestyle aspect as well, with our journey in the LS.
Just sound great, but a lot of compromise, a lot of understanding of conversations. So it's that he knows himself, I know who I am, and you can stand firm in your own identity enough to convey it to the next person, so that there's no mistaking with it, what you're going to receive. And then you need to communicate, because how he may receive me or how I may receive him is just based on my own perspective. So it's just like, I can't be in his own mind until he shares it. So there's a lot of work and emotions and just vulnerability. Yeah, like it is that much more important when you're involved in this type of thing. So it sounds all fun, it sounds all exciting, and people can, guys are like, oh man, I wish, guys are like, man, you hit the jackpot. Like, so it's funny, because it's just like, not everybody can be every guy can be in his shoes, and if a guy is put in his shoes where they have to encounter the things that we do, they not might be ready for it. It sounds fun, but emotionally, it may not be what you're looking for.
Right. That's any relationship. Like, you have to work at any relationship. It doesn't matter what type of relationship or what you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. So you have to have those components in order to have a successful relationship. So let the people know, like, if you got like what projects you're working on, where they can find you on social media, any websites you want to share, anything you want to share with the people.
Okay. Well, first, BoeErotica.com. This is my book of erotic short stories. Sorry, find the camera. Yeah, yeah. It's a book of erotic short stories. It has 5 shorts and 10 full stories. Most of the stories are written from the woman's perspective, so it puts women in those places that of dominance and living their best lives, living their fantasies that most women can't be in sexually because of the reasons we discussed earlier. So that's available at BoeErotica.com. My Herogasm is my next the next Boa experience. That's October 13th here in Dallas. Again, that's an evening for the erotic arts. It's a sexy superhero and villain costume Halloween party. We have our Love and Lifestyle podcast. Boa.erotica is the YouTube channel. And then her Instagram, you can tell me your Instagram?
Yes, my Instagram is at They Call Me Jew. So all spelled regular, They Call Me Jew. I am honestly kind of spinning off and, really kind of mirroring and harmonizing with his energy. So I've started a line of lingerie that I'm working on. So it's going to be the Vixen of Adonis. And so I'm excited about that, lingerie toys, and especially dick friendly, because I can't get into everything that's out here all the time.
Big booty problem.
But with that, I am also working on a cookbook. It's been something that even before working with him, a lot of my closest friends have been encouraging, because through COVID, I lost 85 pounds at one point. And, then my weight fluctuated. I started lifting weights, so then the muscle came in. So I went pescatarian, and a lot of the things I eat are vegetarian, and I juiced, and so I do all kind of creative things, but I'm a Southern girl at heart, so just believe that I eat hearty and I eat good. So it's not just, rabbit's food, basically. So, a lot of people ask for recipes, so I have been collecting them so that I can start sharing and building this cookbook to share out there. So there's a couple of things, that we're really getting into, just either as individuals or as a partner, and it's really just kind of going to grow from there. Yeah.
Yep. So we have the private encounters, the private BDSM session that I do. I can travel to different cities pretty easily. So those and then just the Instagrams, Boa on Instagram, and then Adonis Allen on Facebook.
I know my Facebook is Julia Bryant. It's just my full name. I have to kick my family off of there. So you can follow me on my regular Facebook page, Julisa, and that's with a Z. So.
Yeah. And if you guys didn't get that, I know I don't have all of their links, but down in the description box below, I do have Adonis and JuJu's Instagram. I also have Boa Erotica's Instagram down below, and also the website. And it says website with that link down below as well. And I'm sure that you can connect with them at one of those links.
Yeah. Like Coach Prime said, we ain't hard to find.
I know. If people have more questions, because honestly, since having exposed and put out there more that I'm in the BDSM, I get so many questions. Like, how do I get involved? How do I learn? Where do I start? Like, how do you get to your first event and things like that? So I'm an open book. So if anyone really wants to ask a more private question and get some real answers, I am definitely open to it.
That's amazing. I appreciate you guys so much for coming and sharing your story. I can't wait to have you back on the membership channel where you can actually show us some things. Like the last time we had a panel and Tyrone was like, I'm about this life. And then he brought out like a feather. He was like, see, this is it's like an ostrich feather. Like, this is what it is. And we were like,
I'll show you guys some of my toys.
Yeah, exactly. So definitely make sure you join the membership channel, guys. We're going to have Adonis and JuJu back, but it's going to be behind the scenes membership only for members. That's it. Like, if you scared, say scared, don't come through, because we're going to get
not for the faint of heart.
So, but shout out to my host, Tyrone. Do you have any last words? You want to let them know where they can find you as well, Tyrone?
No, not at all. Tonight was about Adonis and JuJu, but Ty Wilson 21 everywhere. I'll be giving a presentation tomorrow night.
All right,
Yeah.
sounds good on his
Mhm.
YouTube channel. All right, guys, don't forget to
Yeah.
hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe and make sure you follow everyone on
Yes.
socials. All right, guys, love you so much. I will see you guys on tomorrow on Ty's channel.